the teaching of Jesus on contemplation. Jesus continues in his teaching on prayer to tell us that in our spiritual life we should be mindful, not distracted or scattered. We should live with a sense of the presence at all times. And this is implicit when he tells us we should set our mind upon God's kingdom before everything else, and everything else will come to you as well. What does this mean? Surely it means to be present, to live attentively in the present moment. That is being mindful of the kingdom of God, which means the presence of God within you and between us at all times. It's very close to what the Buddhists call mindfulness, and it's what the Christian tradition calls praying at all times. One of the great benefits of meditation in daily life, if you meditate regularly, every day, morning and evening, is that you'll find that more and more deeply you become aware of this continuous life of the Spirit. It's going on in your depths, in the depths of your own being, at all times. Not just when you're praying, but whatever you are doing, wherever you are, whoever you are with, at any time of the day or night, and even whatever you're feeling. This is the deepest ground of being, the ground level of existence on which we are all standing. This is the present moment, that present moment that contains past and future. We are always in the present moment. Even when we are thinking about the past or thinking about the future, we are in the present moment. And this is what we mean by praying at all times. To live in a contemplative way doesn't mean that we have to live in a monastery or live a very quiet form of life even. But it means that whatever we are doing, fulfilling our duties, fulfilling our vocation, we are present to what we are doing and to the presence of God in that action. To pray at all times means that actually we are opening a deeper level of consciousness, that level of consciousness in which Christ is praying in us. St. Paul helps us to understand this when he tells us that we do not know how to pray, but the Spirit prays within us, deeper than words. The symptoms of this are joy and peace. You can experience joy even when things go wrong, and you can experience peace even in times of stress or anxiety. Because this joy and peace that Jesus promised us and communicated to us are his own peace, his own joy. In the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "I give you my own peace, my parting gift to you," he says. "And I give you my joy, so that your joy may be complete." It is in this experience of joy and peace that we find the real experience of God. And this is not dependent on external circumstances, but upon our attitude to circumstances. They are there in good weather and bad weather, when things go well, when things don't go well, when you are unhappy, when you are unhappy. It's always there. The contemplative life is to be rooted in that ground of being, to have your feet standing on that solid ground of joy and peace, to be rooted in that ground of love. And that is the meaning of the daily meditation discipline. That's why we do it. You don't always feel like meditating. Sometimes you're not in the mood for it. Sometimes you feel you're not doing it very well, that you're not making much progress. But it's in our commitment to that regular daily practice that we discover the fruit of meditation in this experience of continuous prayer in daily living. We find that even without having to try to do it, our mind is set upon God's kingdom before everything else. At the conclusion of this section of St. Matthew's Gospel, Jesus tells us, don't worry about tomorrow, because every day has enough problems of its own. He's talking here about living fully, faithfully, in the present moment. Be present. Be real. Actually, as you understand and discover what the present moment means, what it's like living in the present moment, you will discover that in your own experience, as you meditate day by day, that you don't forget the past, you don't become irresponsible about the future. But past and future are now related to the central, primary experience of the present moment. There may be some aspects of the past that you have still to deal with, some leftover business that you haven't finished yet, some emotional or moral responsibilities that you have yet to attend to, arising from the past or past behavior. Maybe there are some things you don't understand about the past that you have got to come to insight into before you can move on. And you don't ignore the future and just pretend that there isn't going to be any future. You still pay your insurance policies, your car tax. You make your bookings for the plane long enough in advance to get a cheap rate. The past and the future do have a certain reality which we have to respect. But you will find that as you learn to live in the present moment, you will become less anxious about the future and less controlled by the past. You won't be living so much out of the fears for the future or the memories of the past. You won't be living behind yourself or ahead of yourself. And you won't be so trapped in the past, especially those aspects of the past that cause anger, guilt, or sadness. We've all had fights or family feuds, or people have betrayed us, relationships have broken down, employers have made us redundant, or we've had fights with friends. These experiences of the past are very powerful, and they can linger. We may struggle with forgiveness for many years. But what you will find as you discover what the present moment means is that you are able to deal with these memories and experiences of the past much more freely, much better, much more peacefully. Contemplation sets us free. When Jesus said that he came to show us and to bring us the fullness of life, so that we can live life to the full and maximize our full human potential, he said that it is the truth that will set you free. This is what we discover through meditation, the truth. So these are the essential elements of Jesus' teaching on prayer. We find them in the Sermon on the Mount. Being free from external obsessiveness, practicing interiority, silence, trust, calmness of mind, mindfulness, and being present. And if you were to say, how can I put all these good teachings into practice? What you are saying is, how can I pray? And that question, how can I truly pray? How can I deepen my prayer? How can I pray better? Is the question which, when sincerely asked, takes us to a deeper level on our spiritual journey. It leads us in God's own time, in God's own kindness, to the prayer that we find in our heart.